Hey everybody, it's Belinda. How do I discuss the need for additional training at work? So that's the next question I have on here. How do I discuss the need for additional training at work? You just ask. You say, I know we went over this, but I feel like I need a little bit more training in this area. Now, a lot of times people will say, I wasn't trained, because they don't want to look, nobody wants to look dumb, so they don't want to look dumb. When you're training, I expect you to have questions. I expect for me to have to say it more than one time. So if I have to say it a second time, the third time, not so much, because I'm going to say, I'm going to need you to write this down, because now I'm saying it 3 times or 4 times. But if it's important to make sure that when you are being trained, that you're taking notes, that you're reviewing your notes, and that you are trying, because you want to make sure that you're trying when you're working. So when you're learning, if after that you've taken notes and it's still for some reason if it's not registering with you, then you want to make sure that you ask. Don't just go like you got it and you don't. Don't be afraid of that. A lot of people are afraid to say, I didn't get it, I need additional training. I say all the time, ask questions. That's how you learn, period. So if you have a question, ask. That is how you learn. Outside of that, how are you going to learn? And I'd rather for you to ask me questions so I can help you and answer them so you can get it right, instead of making the same mistake over and over and over again because you were too afraid to ask questions. So just say, hey, I got this piece. I still need a little help with this piece. So don't be afraid to ask questions, and you just say it just like that. A lot of times too, I want to say this. A lot of times too, people take things more personal than they have to be, because we feel like it's personal. When you ask a question, your coworkers may be like, we've all been there. You're ready for the meeting to be over with. I've been there and I've led the meeting, and I'm like ready for this meeting to be over with. But we've all been there. But if you have a question, please do not hesitate to ask your supervisor, because that's how you learn. That's how you're going to improve. They want you to get better. Now, they may not want to be in the meeting one more minute longer, but they'd rather be in that meeting answering your question, giving you what you need, than for you to go off and do something wrong and mess things up even more. Should I disclose that I previously worked for their company and they fired me? So I'm reading again. Should I disclose that I previously worked for their company and they fired me? If you are trying to reapply for a new company, I hope that the HR person, the HR professional, is on top of their game and they already know your status. They already know you worked there before and you were terminated. Because your Social Security probably didn't change. Your name might have changed, because you could have changed your name. But your Social Security, your birthday, all that's probably still the same. So they were able to track you down in the system to know that you worked there. So you don't necessarily have to disclose, because they should know up front. And they will say if you're eligible for rehire or not. So a lot of times they'll say you're not eligible because you were fired. Most people who were fired from a company are not eligible for rehire. So let me say that first. A lot of times, don't apply for a company you've already been fired from, because you're probably not eligible for rehire. You can ask before you even apply, do you hire people who've been fired? So you want to ask that, because you don't want to waste your time applying when it's an automatic no. But if you were resigned, or if you resigned with notice, you can ask, I used to work here before. I worked here for 2 years, 7 years ago. I'm interested in coming back. Am I eligible for rehire? So you can ask those questions if you've worked for that company before.